All right, guys. So my name is Steve Winston. I am the Gear Up advisor at North High School out in Worcester. Some of you guys may know me. I think everybody in this chat is from North High, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Today we're going to be going over scholarship resources, how to find them, deadlines, what to write in scholarships, what not to write, all that good stuff that people might not tell you that you're worrying about now. What's good about this is you guys get firsthand experience of trying to find out different resources along with the do's and don'ts behind it and how scholarships do work. So it's a short presentation. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I want it to be a little less formal. So make sure you ask questions as we go through this so we can answer the questions that you might need. And just to give you a gist of what a scholarship is, if you're not familiar, scholarships are gifts. Wait, no, not ready for that yet. You go back, Sochi. Thank you. All right, so scholarships are gifts, or what I like to say is an investment in you, and they don't need to be repaid. So this isn't a loan. Grants are similar to scholarships, and people like to say it's free money. But when people say free money, I feel some students might think somebody just comes up and hands you the money. But what a scholarship is, it's investing in your education. So most scholarships, in order for you to get the money, you have to be going to get higher education, which means you have to be going to college. There's 1,000 of them that are offered by schools, employers, individuals, private companies, nonprofits, communities, religious groups, and professional and social organizations. So there's a lot of places that you can find these scholarships that a lot of people aren't aware about. All right, next slide, please. So the two different type of scholarships are merit-based, which means are typically awarded to academic, athletic, artistic merit. So that means if you're good in art, if you're good in music, if you're good in your academics, they will award you based on that. And then there's also some scholarships that are financial need, which means depending on how much money you need for college is how they'll determine you should get the scholarship or not. Hold on, Zochi. I'll let you know when to go to the next one. Um, So with financial need, the primary objective is just making sure the total cost of your attendance isn't covered by your expected family contribution, which you will find on your FAFSA. So I know most of you guys have said you've done your FAFSA. So at the end, it usually says your EFC, which is your expected family contribution, which will tell you how much they feel your family might can give. And then based on that, they'll see how much they would give you through a scholarship. So that's why we want you guys to make sure you do your FAFSA because that'll help us determine if you need more money and things like that. All right, next slide, please. All right, so Trinity had a great question about how to find scholarships. So ways to find scholarships, you can learn about them in several ways, including contacting the financial aid offices at some of the schools that you're applying to, because they might know firsthand which scholarships they give. You could also check information with us, your guidance counselors, and then the main thing is online. There's always online websites that offer scholarships. But when you are online, you want to make sure that the information is legitimate. Remember that you don't have to put in any credit card information. You don't have to pay to find money. It wouldn't make sense if you're paying because you're trying to have less money to pay for college. So any sites that are offering to find you scholarships, if you sign up with your credit card, those sites are scams. We'll be posting in our Google Classroom throughout the year when we do find scholarships that may pertain to you guys. Do you have any questions before I keep going? Am I going too fast?
I'm not seeing any questions yet.
No questions? Perfect. All right. So when do I apply for scholarships? That depends on each scholarship's deadline. Some deadlines are as early as the year before college starts. So if you're in high school right now, which you guys all are, you should be researching and applying for scholarship as we speak. But if you guys haven't started yet, this is a perfect time to start looking. So when you're looking at scholarships, it always will say the deadline. And that deadline does not mean wait till that day to do it. It's telling you that after that day, they won't be accepting any more applications, any more materials, or anything like that. So you want to make sure you pass in your scholarship way before that. Next slide. So how do I apply for scholarship? So each scholarship has its own requirements. The scholarship's website should give you an idea of who qualifies for the scholarship and how to apply. So make sure you read the application carefully and fill it out completely and meet the application deadline. I can't stress that enough. The deadline is very important. A lot of seniors last year came to us on the deadline trying to mail out all the information. But the thing is, when you're mailing it, it doesn't get to them on the deadline day. You might mail it on the deadline day, but it's not going to get to them, which means they can't accept it. So if you wrote a great essay, they're not going to take it because you waited to the deadline. You want to send it way before the deadline. Next slide. All right, so for this one, how do you get your scholarship money? So if you do get awarded the scholarship, the money could go directly to your college, where it will be applied to your tuition fees or any other amounts you owe, and any leftover money may be given to you, or it might be sent directly to you in a check. So it all depends. So when you are filling out these applications and you get awarded, you want to make sure that it lists how you receive your money. You don't want to be in school the whole entire year and forget that the check got mailed to your house and you never opened it, or you changed your address, or you expected them to know what school you went to, because you do have to usually tell them, all right, I got accepted to Worcester State, so can you send my scholarship over there? So you want to make sure you have something like that. And then I will have Terrence speak a little on this because she has been in a situation where something has happened with this.
So I have a college freshman, and so I just actually went through this process with him last year when he received a few scholarships. The smaller ones, he received a check and he had that money. He could deposit it in his bank account and spend it on whatever he needed, books, tuition, whatever. The two larger ones that he got, they were each for $1,000. And so I was going into the night thinking, oh, this is awesome. I have $2,000 that I can put towards the bill in the fall. And it wasn't exactly the case. One of the scholarships, we had to make sure that we mailed in a bill to the address provided in the instructions. And then I had to make sure that I followed up with the Putnam Town Hall, who was holding the money, to make sure that they sent it to the school. And I also had to follow up with financial aid to tell them, listen, there's $1,000 that's coming to you. It's just, we're waiting for the town hall to send it to you. And they were totally fine with that, but it was a little bit of work on our end. The second scholarship was also for $1,000. But when I read the instructions for that, we have to submit his report card from his first semester of college, and he has to have earned a certain GPA in order to get that $1,000. So he will actually not receive that money until the second semester. So where I thought that I had $2,000 going into the beginning of the year for my August bill, I really didn't. So when you receive the scholarships, it's very important that you read the instructions, see what you have to do in order to get the money, and what the timeline is so that you can then communicate that to your financial aid office.
Great. And that goes a little bit of what Jamal just asked, which if it's in the check, how do they find out if they don't use it for other purposes? That all depends on you and that scholarship. Some scholarships, if you filled out all the requirements and you were still awarded that scholarship, and they said they're just going to give you a personal check for $500 for your education, and you use it for something else and then you do need it. I guess that's the honor system with that particular in scholarship. But for the most part, that's why a lot of scholarship awarders do just say you have to be accepted into a college and they'll send it over. But if they're comfortable with just sending you that check, then what you do with it is up to you. Hopefully you do invest it in your education, but books, laptops, if you live in expenses, if you wanted to move out of your house because you're not live on campus, those type of things you can use the money for.
You could make the argument that if you use some of that money towards an insurance payment for your car and you're commuting and you need that car to get to school, you could make that argument that that is a valid expense. Now, if you went out and bought designer pair of jeans or something, not good. Don't use it for that.
Any other questions?
No questions, Steve.
All right, perfect. All right, so the next question could be, how does a scholarship affect my other student aid? So because all your student aid added together can't be more the cost of your attendance to the college or the career school that you're going to, you'll need to let your school know if you've been awarded a scholarship so that the financial aid office can subtract that amount. Just like Taryn said before with her son, she had to let the school know we'll have $1,000 coming next semester. You want to just make sure everybody's aware of what money's coming in, because if your scholarship over exceeds what you need, sometimes you won't get it. So say if you go to QCC and QCC is only $6,000 and you win a $10,000 scholarship and it's based on financial need. So you only need $6,000. Yes, you want 10,000, but if your financial need is the 6,000, then that means they'll take care of that 6,000 and that 4,000 will go back into their money pool. So that's why I just wanted to show you guys how that might affect your student aid. Same thing with the Gear Up scholarship. If you guys are in Gear Up, depending on what school you do need, we just fill that gap with how much we offer. We won't give you 800 if you only need 300. We will give you that 300 and meet you that way.
And to speak to that, like, how does the scholarship affect my aid? When we talk about the financial aid, kind of the financial aid office lowering your financial aid package, usually what they'll do is if you needed to take loans, they're going to lower the amount of loans that you have to take. So that way you're still making out because you don't have to borrow as much.
Mm-hmm. And that's true. So that's the main thing. So if you do know you have scholarships, then you let the school that you are going to know. And then they'll move around money so that you'll get the best bang for your buck, and it'll be less money that you have to loan out. So a lot of colleges will offer you loans, but you can say, oh, I have $1,000 scholarship. They'll take off that loan so that you can see where the money's going and where it's not going. And I think I see a question, where can I find scholarships? So in a few more slides, I will let you guys know. I'm not sure any apps, if any advisors know any apps. I don't want to advise any apps because I haven't used them personally, but there are a lot of websites that you can use on your mobile device that might go into like a mobile web view. That'll be easier to log in and log out. Next slide, please. All right, so now that I give you a gist of what scholarships are, I know you guys are asking a lot of questions of like how to apply, when to apply, what to say, what not to say. That's what I'm gonna give you guys right now. So these are my tips when you are applying for college scholarships. Next slide, please. So my first tip is to apply for local scholarships and apply for scholarships with smaller awards. Many communities offer local scholarships through clubs, organizations, and small businesses. And the odds of winning those are a lot greater than going for those competitive scholarships that are nationwide. Many students look for scholarships that offer the biggest bucks, but those are the most competitive. So if you see a scholarship for $50,000, we're all gonna try to go get it. But if I see a scholarship for $100, I just have to write an essay, and I'm the only one that does it, I get that scholarship. A lot of kids don't understand that there's a lot of scholarships out there. So sometimes you might be the only one applying for that scholarship. So at the end of the day, you're going to win that scholarship. You don't want to go for all those big ones because that's a lot of people going for those same ones. I'm not saying not to go for those ones, but just think about the competition that you're going to be dealing with. If you know your essay is superb, and you know you're going to meet that deadline and you're going to have everything in, go for it. But you still should be applying for those lower awards because those will add up. Next slide, please.
Job, you should ask if the job has scholarship opportunities through that company, or if you have a church. Sometimes churches give out scholarships, so really start looking around locally.
Yep, and to add what Taryn said, wherever your parents work, they might have scholarships for people in their family. I know a couple of you guys work as it is now, so I know like Big Y has their own scholarship for their employees. A lot of jobs actually will help pay for tuition if they know you're going to school. But what happens is a lot of people don't ask these questions, so it's not like your manager is just gonna go around on the intercom and say, we have scholarships for you guys. So these are questions that you need to ask your employers, clubs that you're interested in. I know the Worcester Boys and Girls Club has scholarships. I know Boys and Girls Club of America, YMCA. So any of those type of things has scholarships depending on the organization. So you definitely want to check.
And I was gonna mention too, like things like you said, different organizations, like my son's in band, and we have, as an organization, we offer a scholarship. There was also a daycare that my kids went to that offers a scholarship to kids that went to that daycare. So think of all the things that you were involved in and check into those organizations as well.
Definitely. So another thing is more work, fewer applicants, better chances. I'm sure you know all your peers and your friends. Just for the fact of the matter, we do a webinar every Monday, and you see how many people show up on a certain day versus a certain week versus a certain month. So the more work a scholarship is, sometimes people will see it and like, oh, this scholarship wants 2 pages. I'm not doing it. So that's one less person you have to worry about if you do it. So those are the kind of things that you want to do. Even when I was in high school, as soon as a scholarship asked for an essay, I was like, not doing it, which I regret now. But every scholarship's going to ask for an essay. So speaking on that, essays with over 1,000 words often have fewer than 500 applicants, compared to the 5,000 students that'll enter those easier scholarships. Another good thing to think about is, instead of burning yourself out applying for every scholarship you qualify for, have some fun. Apply for scholarships that interest you. There's a lot of scholarships. There's scholarships for like people of color, there's scholarships for left-handed people, scholarships for people who wear glasses, scholarships who people have weird birthmarks. There's scholarships for everything. And I'll show you some categories that you can choose from.
Also, just to type in on the essays, I've been on scholarship committees, for instance, for band, as I mentioned, and those essays really help us choose, because we'll have students with very similar backgrounds and very similar grades, but it's the essay that really helps the committee members figure out who should get the essay. So that's why if there's a good scholarship, there's going to be an essay for it, and take your time with writing it and really be thoughtful, because it really does help your chances.
Almost look at it like a part-time job. You should be dedicating a little bit of time every week to doing this. And it feels like a lot right now with everything else you have going on, but it could really pay off. In my son's case, it was a lot. He wasn't thrilled about the work that he did, but he earned over $11,000 in scholarships. And that was really just for a few hours of his life at the end of the day. And I can tell you, he's really grateful for it now.
Mm-hmm. And to go off of what Taryn said, imagine people, you work, minimum wage is around $12 an hour. So if you dedicate 2 hours at work, that's about $24 versus doing 2 hours of sitting down doing an essay that can potentially get you $1,000. How does that weigh out in your life? So you want to look at that. Just like Taryn said, treat it like a part-time job. It might pay off way bigger than your part-time job. So just think about it like that. That's how I would think about it. Next slide, please. And what Rochelle was saying, how she's been on scholarship committees, you don't want to introduce yourself in your essay. That sometimes can get you disqualified. So the thing is, when you're making an account for your scholarships, or you're filling out any kind of paperwork or sending in your transcript, your name's already on there. The thing is, when you're on a scholarship committee, it's regular people like me reading these essays, and it could get you disqualified because they might become biased. So if Rochelle's reading the scholarships and I put my name in it and she knows me, she might want to just award me that scholarship just because she knows me. So in order to try to get away from that, they try to make sure that there's no names, or they just take out the names. Sometimes they just disqualify. It depends on the requirements of the essay. So that's what you want to keep in mind. You don't have to introduce yourself unless it says to introduce yourself. Another thing is, you don't want to repeat the essay prompt. No one wants to read the same sentence 100 times a day, so be original. Use the beginning of your essay to showcase your personality and set yourself apart from the crowd. So try starting your essay off with a scene or a story, or jumping directly into the answer that they want. Any questions for that? All right, perfect. Next slide, please. One huge thing that I worry about a lot is to satisfy all the requirements. You can write the best essay in the world, but if your prompt asks to list 5 things and you only list 4, you may be disqualified. Make sure you answer every question accurately and meet every requirement. So with going in on that, when you're writing your essay, if they ask for you to send your transcript, if they ask for you to send 2 recommendation letters and you send 1, they just push that one to the side. They're not going to call you up and say, oh, do you mind sending another recommendation? If they ask for 700 words and you give 300, they're not going to email you and say, can you send a couple hundred more words so that we can give you this award? It doesn't work like that. So you want to make sure before you send it, you're meeting all the requirements, you check off all the boxes, you've proofread everything, you've had other people proofread it, and you didn't wait to the last minute to figure it all out. If you know you need recommendation letters and you know the deadline's in 2 weeks, reach out to as many people as you can, just in case someone's too busy to get it to you. Next slide. Another tip is submit early, check deadlines, and apply. So that means if you see the deadline's December 25th, in your head, say the deadline's December 15th, so that you have 10 days to figure it out if something else happens. If the internet connection's down, if the website crashes, if your guidance counselor says they didn't do your recommendation letter and now you're worried like, oh, I didn't ask anyone else, can you please get it done? And they're like, I can't get it done today. You don't want to wait for that deadline. So you want to submit it early because you have a better chance of sending more material before the deadline than trying to send material during the deadline. Next slide, please. So as Taryn said, treat it like a part-time job. Pick a few days and dedicate a few hours to looking at and applying for schools. It's free money. The only thing that you're investing your time in is your time and energy. So dedicate an hour or 2 a day, hour or 2 a week, something. If you can do 1 scholarship a week, that's more than you were going to do before that. Apply for those awards that are less money as well, less competitive. Look for stuff that caters to your interest and your passion, so you want to write about it rather than doing stuff that you know you don't want to write about. Some scholarships actually offer video submissions, so you can set up a video if you guys like to do like TikToks and go Facebook Live and Instagram and all that. They might have you do some kind of project like that, and then you can showcase yourself that way if that's more what you're comfortable with. Next slide. So one site I just did want to put, because a lot of North High and Worcester students do use, is the greaterworcester.org site. It'll let you make a profile. So just like if you made an Instagram profile or a Facebook profile, you'll put your name, your email. With this, you'll just put more of your school academic stuff. So they'll match you with scholarships that you qualify for. Doesn't mean that you should just apply for it. That means you should see the requirements, make sure you match them, make sure you check the deadlines and apply for that. So this platform has a lot of the local scholarships, which are awarded to all high school seniors who live in Worcester, the Worcester County, I should say. And scholarships can range from $300 to $5,000. Some are one time and some are renewable. So some might be a one-time payment of $3,000, one might be $5,000 for the 4 years you're in school. And then the last slide for you guys is if you have any questions for me or any of my advisors.
And I just put in the chats to check out Hanover Insurance because they give out thousands of dollars to the community. And we've had a lot of students from North that have been recipients of that. So definitely worth checking out.
Any questions for you guys before I show you just one website that Jamal did mention in the beginning, scholarships.com? I'm going to show you guys how you can apply for one of them.
Is there a Google Calendar for all of the deadlines?
Seeing that there's so many scholarships out there, that would be kind of hard to put it all in one.
I think the best would be for you to make your own Google Calendar with all of these. Each person is going to have individual scholarships that they qualify for. So we might put them out there on the Google Classroom, but it's probably best to make your own Google Calendar, and probably a good habit if you haven't already done so. Sorry, Steve.
No, that's perfect. Yeah, so like she said, each requirement, everybody's going to be applying for different scholarships, so there's going to be different deadlines for everybody. Once you apply, sometimes it depends on the website, because it might give you a all the applications that you did apply for, so you can see the deadlines in one spot. But I would still be responsible and try to make a Google Calendar. And then whatever that deadline is, I would put a week before that so that you can do it and make sure you have time to, if anything happens.
Another thing too, just to pipe in, is Naviance has a lot of the local scholarships, and you can sort them by deadline. So there is one little calendar if you want to sort some of the local scholarships by deadline. Otherwise, I would create your own.
Mhm.
That's a great suggestion, Rochelle. And like we always say, take your earliest deadline and try to have everything done by the earliest.
Mhm. All right, so I'm gonna show you guys scholarships.com. The Worcester one that I did show you guys, right now it's not open. It does open on January 4th, and then it's gonna be something similar to scholarships.com where you make an account and then you look at what scholarships are available. This one I like because it's just user friendly. Give me 1 second so I can share my screen for you guys. So you just go to scholarships.com. Let me know if you see it, guys.
There it is.
Yeah, so it's pretty simple, self-explanatory. Up here, you'll see scholarship search, scholarship directory, college search, news, all that good stuff up here. So what you want to do is when you log in, you want to go to scholarship directory, and it will show you all the categories you can choose from. So like I said, there's a scholarship for just about anything in the world. So artistic ability, your age, your ACT scores, your athletic ability, deadlines. I know you guys just asked that, so you can check what deadlines are, and if you want to just get the ones in March. Ethnicity, financial need, gender, all of this you can look. All the way down here. So for example, I'll do ethnicity. It has every ethnicity in the book. So it'll show you any scholarships that might pertain to your ethnicity. There's even a scholarship for ages. So if you have a 14-year-old sibling that while you're doing a scholarship, you want him to do one with you, you can go and put in a 14-year-old scholarship. It'll show you if there's any that he may or she might qualify for. So I will go to Nigerian, and it'll show me all the scholarships that might pertain to me being Nigerian. So right now there's these ones. This doesn't mean these are the only scholarships open to me. This is just the only scholarships that are open to a specific Nigerian ethnicity. So Blacks at Microsoft Scholarship is a $20,000 scholarship, and the deadline's on March 8th. I would click that. And then the description will tell me what I need to have to qualify for this. So as you read it, you want to make sure you meet all the requirements. So this one says you must be a high school senior of African descent. So you have to be African American, Ethiopian, and you must plan to attend a 4-year college or university in the fall following your high school graduation. So if I'm going to QCC, I wouldn't be able to qualify for this because it's saying that I need to go to a 4-year college or university. It's also saying I need to go to a college or university after my high school graduation. So if I'm going for a gap year, I can't expect them to pay for that if I do get awarded. I have to go following my high school graduation. Another requirement is I have to be pursuing a bachelor's degree in engineering, computer science, computer information systems, or these business programs. So if I'm not going to major in one of those, this scholarship's not for me. If I am, then I'm going to continue reading and say, all right, I check all those boxes. Let's see what's next. The next one is a minimum GPA of 3.3. So if I mark that, if I have a little above that, if I have below it, that means I can't do it. If I have above it, cool, I can keep going. And the last one is financial need is required. So as long as I did my FAFSA, it should tell me if I need money. College is pretty expensive, so I think we all have financial needs. So that's good. But if I meet all those, then I would go down. And luckily with this website, you just register or you can log in if you already made one, and it'll have all the pre-populated information. So if you already put your name, your address, your grade point average, all of that there, it'll at least fill out half of it. And then you can see what the essay question might be. It might be saying, since this looks like it's a minority scholarship for Microsoft, it might be saying, write how you want to change the community with technology. And then you would write a 500-word essay about that. And then hopefully, if you did get that award, that would be $20,000 in your pocket. That took you maybe 2 hours to write. So and there's 2 awards available. So that means 2 people can win this. So you have double the chances. So that's pretty much it for that. Like I said, scholarship directory gives you the list, age, all that. Employer, so you can check all these employers. If you worked at any of these, if your parents worked at any of these, they have a lot. But this is one good site that you guys can start on now that you guys are aware of how scholarships work. Let me stop sharing the screen. Do you guys have any other questions that I missed while I was sharing the screen?
No, but I am going to highlight, Sharon touched upon this and you had talked about it earlier in your presentation. Don't pay an application fee to apply for a scholarship. Again, never pay. Okay, you're applying for a scholarship. If they're trying to charge you, this is not legit. Get out of there. Go to scholarships.com.
And I see a question. Did you guys answer the one about the Greater Worcester scholarships? Do you only have to apply to Worcester and state colleges?
Oh, no, it could, out of state, I don't know.
I
Who
think
knows? Anne, do you know? I think it is
I
fine.
think it includes all types, Taryn. So
Yeah.
the scholarship sponsor sets the rules. So they might have some that are out of state and others that are in.
Yeah, so it's all you guys want to just make sure you read that. Some will say you have to go to Massachusetts state school. Some might say you have to go to a Worcester school. Some might say you just got to go to a 4-year university in the United States. That's why you just got to make sure you read it, make sure you meet all those requirements and qualifications. Just like I said, you could write the best essay in the world, but if you're not doing what they ask, it's going to get just pushed aside and they're going to move on to the next one that did follow the directions. Just make sure you're reading the directions. You can have us check it. We can make a whole checklist of what they're asking and be like, do you got this? Do you got this? Do you got this? And then we can make sure so that you're not wasting your time writing an essay that's not going to get qualified into the scholarship. Any other questions for me? Do we receive the scholarship through email or like mail? It all depends, I would say, on the scholarship. I would say probably both. Email is what we're probably leaning towards just in the technology world, but they'll also probably send a mail. But at the end of the day, it might even say it in the description when you did get awarded, it'll let you know. They might even call you. They might make it personal and give you a call and say you won, just to make sure that they are able to contact you rather than you guys just going back and forth through email.
And
So you
some
could
of
get a
them
call.
are, you apply online. Some of them actually are old fashioned and you apply through the mail. So it probably depends on the organization. I remember working on some of them that are listed in Naviance that you literally have to send it in the mail with a stamp.
Yep. And I know before COVID, they would have a whole ceremony sometimes and they would award you when you came to the ceremony, and it would have the nominees, and then they would give each person that scholarship. So it all depends.
Most questions that you have about a scholarship can be answered on that web page or whatever it is you're looking at describing it, if you just really read through everything. And even if you go back, if you're like, geez, I got this, and how do I actually get it now? Go back to the page and look. Your instructions will be on there of how you actually go about getting the money.
Mhm.
And I will, something that I will add, sorry, that if you're sending it out by mail, make sure that you keep an organized records of what you're sending out. Like if you have a folder and you just dedicate that folder for your scholarships, so you have copies of everything just in case you need to go back again, as Taryn was saying, if you have to go back and just read about instructions on how to get or how to send them to the school, because it's important for you guys to start being organized, especially before college.
Mhm. Yeah, because you don't want to end up sending out one recommendation and can't remember if you sent out another one or which one you sent it to, or if this scholarship asked for this or this scholarship asked for that, and then you don't remember who you've already submitted it to. So as Zochi said, having a folder saying, all right, I sent all of this out to this organization, I'm all set with that, I still need to send this, versus you just sending out a bunch of applications and you can't remember what the scholarship was for, who it was to, what email you should be looking for. Because if you apply for 20 scholarships and they do all contact you through email and you don't check your email, that's going to be a little iffy, because if you're not checking your email, you might have to confirm that you got the scholarship. they might need you to reply. And if you don't ever reply, they assume you moved on or you decided you're not going to school. So you want to just make sure you keep a list of the scholarships you're applying to, the organizations, and then check your emails. Because I know we send you a lot, teachers send you a lot. So if you need to make a separate email for scholarships only, that would be smart, so that everything that you do for scholarships goes straight there. Because I know with my email, I have work, I have school, I have everything else going there. So everything gets pushed. So I do miss some stuff. So I would suggest you guys make a whole separate email for college, just in general, if that's the case. So anything that has to do with college, it gets into this email.
And if there are scholarships that are asking for recommendations, it's a good idea to probably ask whatever teachers had already agreed to write your recommendation, because it's not going to be really extra work for them. Usually like the Greater Worcester organization, Greater Worcester Foundation, will have a system that you're going to put in your teacher's email, and they're going to end up getting, the teacher will end up getting email. I would just remind the teacher to check their email box. I know that's how that one works. But usually just ask the same teacher that already wrote you one, because that way it's no extra work for them.
And make sure you ask your teacher too, because I've been in situations where students just expect it because I know them that I have time to write a recommendation, and then they wait till the deadline and I'm like, I didn't even know you asked me or a request. I saw that in my mail. I thought it was junk. So I moved away from that. You want to make sure you can ask them, if you have time, can you write me a recommendation letter? It's going to be coming from the Big Y Scholarship Foundation. So be on the lookout for that email, that type of thing, just to give that common courtesy. And don't give them a week, give them as much, as soon as you find out when you want to apply, make sure you let them know. Don't say, oh, the deadline's tomorrow, by the way, so I need it today. Because I know we all wait to the last minute, but we all got a lot of stuff going on. So just make sure you use common courtesy when you're asking for recommendations.
There's another site, Scholly. I don't know if you guys remember Robert talking about that.
Scholly, and I think bold.org is
yeah.
it Sharon had put in.
Yeah.
And there's
So the
also
Scholly,
career-
you can sign up and get things texted to you.
And again, we'll
Although-
post these things, these different sites onto the Google Classroom. So you can be looking there. When we find out different sites that are good or different scholarships that are good, we'll post them there.
I feel like there might have been a slight charge for the Scholly, and it's not, this one is not a scam. This is an actual
Yeah, I
site.
believe so. I think that's the one that I would recommend, because Robert had recommended it. So they must have done some research on that one.
Yes. So
All right.
worth
So
checking
those are
out.
those resources we do have for you guys. We're pushing about 11 o'clock. So if you guys have any questions before you get back into your classroom, let us know. We'll be here for a little while longer. If not, I hope I did give you guys enough information for you to start your scholarship search.
Thanks everybody for tuning in for our last one. This is it for the fall.
If you find any to say, yes, we will put them in the classroom. So anyone that we think you guys qualify for, we'll post there. We won't flood it too much. I know last year we did have a Google Sheet that listed all the ones. So hopefully we can create one, or somebody does have it, that you can just click it and it'll show the scholarships, and then it had the link to each scholarship. So
We could
hopefully
probably
we can
do
do that.
something like that, maybe make a Google spreadsheet. I also want to mention too that Mass EdCo, we apparently, I forgot about, but Kathia had reminded me that we have a scholarship page on our Mass EdCo website with scholarship resources, different websites.
massedco.org.
No problem, guys. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so
Let your
much.
friends know. Now you teach your friends how to, well, you might add competition to the scholarship, but.
Yeah.
And I'll be posting a recording of this in the Google Classroom, so you can share it with the friends that didn't make it.